Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to NAUI's Dive Team Report. I'm your host, Greg Martin. You know, we've talked an awful lot about the Dive Equipment Marketing Association's annual meeting that was back in November. Well, we talk about it an awful lot because it's such a big event, and it's an opportunity for a lot of folks to show off new products or new variations of older products or whatever the case happens to be. And it's always a lot of fun to be able to get in there with, you know, I had a couple of friends and walk around all the different booths and check out what's happening. And one of the booths that got an awful lot of play from a lot of folks was a company called AquaSketch. And it sort of always reminded me in a way of the old Etch-a-Sketch, the idea of being able to draw on something and keep it moving. We have Mark Hagan with us, who is are you the actual creator of the AquaSketch, Mark?
Yes, the creator, inventor, and I've been developing it pretty much on my own for a while. Nice.
Well, the whole idea here is that this is a scrolling slate. Any divers out there that have used slates before know that it would be nice to be able to just roll up a fresh sheet every once in a while, and that's kind of what this is, right?
Right. It enables you to use paper underwater, basically. What I discovered is that pages don't really work in underwater or in extreme environments. They're just too difficult to manipulate. And I was actually working as an illustrator. I was doing some work with the Museum of Natural History in New York, and I draw a lot in New York City and all over the place. But when I started scuba diving, I naturally just wanted to have a sketchbook, and it just led me down this whole thought process of trying to develop something that I could draw on and would give me pretty much unlimited capacity for drawing. So that eventually led to the AquaSketch. The original model was actually 8.5 by 11. It was a large unit that was almost like having an easel underwater, and I could work. When I first developed that idea of a scrolling slate, it worked so well that a big light bulb went off. And I've actually taught classes underwater, taken artist scuba divers underwater, and we draw. But anyway,
interesting thought process to where you go with that, and some of the best ideas, obviously, like you said, with the light bulb moment. So, you know, one of the things that struck me with this and recently was a bit of a mashup between AquaSketch and NAUI. One of the problems that we as instructors have always had was being able to take slates down and be able to go through and check off some of the different skills and so forth. And now I believe that NAUI and you have come into a bit of a partnership, yes?
Yeah, it's been, it's really pretty exciting. In fact, we were just working on these in the shop, and the Scuba Skills checklist for NAUI, we just printed up a bunch of them and just shipped them today. And one of the people that works in our assembly is going on vacation in the Dominican Republic in a week, and she wants to take a scuba course. She's never gone scuba diving, but she wants to take a course while she's there. And I said, well, you know, she was working on these scuba skill sets. We were loading them up and rolling them up to ship to NAUI. And I said, you know, what you're working on right now is probably the first reference book for a diver, you know, like a checklist that you can actually use during your dives. That was kind of like another aha moment that happened in the development of AquaSketch. As I said, I originally designed it to be able to sketch underwater and have an underwater notebook. Pages didn't really work very well. They were too hard to manipulate and too distracting. And when I hit upon the idea of a scroll, I could have up to 30 feet of material in the original unit, so I'd never run out of material. And a scroll is really kind of an ingenious, simple thing, because when you roll a scroll, it protects all the writing that you've done, so it doesn't get smudged, especially with the AquaSketch because it's encased in a polycarbonate frame. There's a number of advantages to that, but I actually had some shows of my artwork at a gallery, and a number of Navy people came in, and they were looking at my underwater paintings, and I had the original AquaSketch there, and they were intrigued with it. And they said, if you could ever make this fit on our wrist, we'd really be interested in this. And so I went out and found a wonderful industrial designer who was between jobs, and he worked with me on it and made this device that holds up to 10 feet of material and fits on your wrist. And it uses an architectural drafting film, which is made of polypropylene but has a silicate surface. And so it holds graphite really well. It gets a much darker line than a slate, but it's also very easy to erase. And the other big plus to this is that we can print on it with special inks, and it's indestructible. And it's much less expensive to print on than printing on slates that have to be laser routed and silk screened. This we can print in a flatbed printer. So we bring the price down, and we can do very small quantities. So people that need maps of underwater facilities or wrecks or basically anything. We've been working with the Navy some. We did decompression schedules. We actually have these at the Neutral Buoyancy Lab at the Johnson Space Center. They were using it with the Space Shuttle program. And it's the best way to bring reference material underwater, but also if you need something to write on and just taking notes or just use for communication, it gives you pretty much unlimited capacity. And it has no electronics. So it's basically Old Testament technology brought into the 21st century.
Sometimes the best thing is just a good old piece of paper and a pencil, right?
Exactly. And, lately there has been this kind of resurgence back into analog, with LPs and a number of things. And this is part of that. Another key aspect of the AquaSketch is, as an artist, when I draw, the material I'm drawing with, whether it's graphite or pastel or crayons or paint, it's very important. But the surface that I'm putting it on is also really important, and just as important in a way. And when I first started diving, I saw this big mismatch between divers using bowling pencils and trying to write on plastic slates or plastic boards. And those two are really incompatible, because plastic, when it comes out of the mold, in order to be able to be released from the mold quickly, it has to have a very slick, glossy surface. And graphite doesn't work. Like, you couldn't write on your window with a graphite pencil. It just doesn't work.
Right.
And the same applies with plastic. So what divers have been doing to try to get a darker line is they press harder, and they end up embedding the graphite into the plastic, and then they get those ghost marks that want to erase. With the AquaSketch, you have a polypropylene drafting film that goes into it that has like a very fine sandpaper surface. Mm-hmm. So it holds the graphite on the surface of the vellum. So you can actually, when you're underwater, you can wipe it off with your thumb. But when you scroll it, it protects everything you write, and it gets a really dark line. So it works. We had one diver who sent me a picture of him after its 1,000th dive using the same paper, and it works great. So it's pretty indestructible.
Just one of those ideas, Mark, that you've hit on something. And again, like you said, you have the ability to be able to print things. You can go on your website. I was just, in fact, I'm on the website as we're talking here, looking at products and the different fish identification, applications and so forth, instructor classes, navigation aids. It's just fantastic to be able to take that with you. and not a flip file. You don't have to deal with trying to lose flip files and so forth. It's right there, and you even offer a scanner as well. I see here to be able to pull that information off if you need to after you're done diving.
You're right. Actually, that scanner, we still have a few, but those haven't been selling that much because now, since we put that up there, people can just use their cell phone and just if you have notes that you want to save, you can unroll the vellum out of the AquaSketch and then just take a picture of it with your phone to get it into your computer. And then using, like we sell these erasers that are similar to the Mr. Clean type erasers, you can wipe down the whole length and just reload it, and it's as good as new. So you could save your notes in a computer very easily just by taking a picture of it. The word that keeps coming up in our reviews is love. People, when they use it, they just realize they love it because they're skeptical. They think, well, here's another gadget that's probably going to end up at the bottom of my dive bag,
Yeah.
And then they realize once they've used it a few times, they realize it enables them to do things they could never do before. And it eliminates one more limitation on a dive by giving you just pretty much unlimited capacity for notation and reference. And they fall in love with it, and and that's it.
Nice. Nice. You can check out AquaSketch.com, AQUA as in aqua, and sketch, SKETCH.com. If you're a NAUI instructor, you can also go to the NAUI website and talk with them about getting your class notes and be able to mark those things off as you go down through it. Mark, you got yourself a great winning idea here. I haven't picked one up yet, but I'm going to be picking one up very, very soon. Yeah, by all means. And, we'll look for some more great ideas out of you, okay?
Sure. And if anybody has anything, a map of a wreck or a dive site or anything at all they want printed up, we can print them custom and do very small quantities.
All right. Mark, congratulations. A great idea. And, I know we'll talk again soon. All right?
All right. Great. Thank you very much. And happy 2017.
Absolutely. And if you have questions about things like that, be sure and check out your local dive shop, too, and ask if they carry AquaSketch. And again, check out NAUI's website, NAUI.org. And that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the NAUI Dive Team Report. I'm Greg Martin. Thanks for listening. I'll see you underwater.